Hello and welcome to Flippin' Through, the internet's #1 Mad Magazine news, review, and interview channel. And today we're flipping through a Mad Magazine number 12, published June some year, I don't know, 1954. Cover price 10 cents, which is just golden. That's right, Golden Age Mad Magazine. What more do you need? What more could you possibly want? But before we do that, let me say, oh wait, I'm going to screw all of this up. Let me see if I can do this without screwing it up. The answer is that I can't. Before I do that, please consider hitting like, hitting subscribe. This channel is growing. What am I at right now? I'm at like 500 something or other. What is it? 526, 527, if you can believe that. And it's thanks to you for hitting subscribe. Hey, double check. Sometimes YouTube unsubscribes people. Why would they do that? I don't know. They're out to get me. If you want to support me in another way, besides liking, subscribing, leaving comments, patreon.com/flippinthrough. If you support me there, you get a sick set of stickers. You get a pretty awesome... Where did the stencil go? I lost it. Golly, I'm an F up. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Look at, you get this. You get this awesome stencil, which turns out pretty awesome, if I do say so myself, and the 6 set of stickers. Patreon.com/flippinthrough. These are the people that support me on that now. Ed, Misimo, David Strickler, Megan McInerney, Shane Buckley, Bobby Weigel, Cam Hayden, Rob Wilson, Rod Mead, Sperry, Andrew Goldfarb, Casey Ori, and a little cozy nostril. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope I can keep on earning it. Anyway, let's get back to what matters. Here I am. What matters is this. It's kind of exciting for me because this is the very first Mad comic that I'm flipping through. I've not done one. I've been putting it off. A while because it feels like a really big thing to do. You know, you have channels like Cartoonist Kayfabe that go through these, and you know, they're Cartoonist Kayfabe. They're like very learned men, and they have so much to say about all of these things. So what am I going to add? I don't know. I'll add something, I suppose. But anyway, so here we have this cover, a beautiful cover. One thing that I'm interested in is Mad at a certain point. I guess I could probably look it up on Mad cover site. It looks like after issue 10, they just switch over and they start doing like these kind of weird things. Like issue 11 was, I think it was making fun of Life magazine, or maybe it was Time. And then there's this to look like some other news magazine. There's one that looks like a newspaper and all sorts of things. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of funny because it's like they're moving into that satire arena. Wait, moving into it? That sounds pretty dumb, seeing as how they were satirizing movies and television shows that whole time. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, as far as their covers go. Otherwise, it was just the Mad cover. And this is like they're trying to, I don't know, they're making a joke. I keep sliding it over to open it, but there's so much to say about this. So you have like the table of contents, Mad, you know, humor in a jugular vein. I like that. I wonder, like, would that be worth bringing back? Or is it something that it left with the comic, it should stay gone? Special issue, asterisk. This special issue is designed for people ashamed to read this comic book in subways. And, wait, what's this? Why is this? Sorry, guys, my microphone thingy was falling off. Ashamed to read this comic book in subways and like that. And like, what? How is that? Am I fucking that up? Comic books and subways and like that. Merely hold cover in front of face, making sure it's not upside down. Mad cover design makes people think you are reading high-class intellectual stuff instead of miserable junk. My only guess is that this cover looked like some type of news magazine. Here's Starchy, the typical story of typical America's most hated typical teenager, typical page 1. Mark Trade, the story of man against nature. You guessed it, gas pains, page 1. 3 dimensions, for the first time, 3D feelies. Not only do you see it, you touch it. Page 1. From eternity back to here, they kissed on the beach instead of the mouth. Page 1. Chapter, episode 6 of Operation Under the Ground. Only 994 chapters to go. Page ? Anyway, now we can, I think, dive into this. Starchy, Archie spoof. Mark Trade, Mark Trail spoof. I was always pretty surprised. Not always surprised. I was surprised to find out that Mark Trail was a super old comic because it was still being printed when I was a kid. I didn't really understand it. I would read it every once in a while, and I think there was like a couple weeks where I like got into the story. But for the most part, it was very strange to me because it was very different than all of the other comics that were in the paper because it looked visually way different, and it had this continuing story. And they do that weird thing where it's like the first panel kind of recaps, and then so you only get 2 panels of actual story. Anyway, so I have Mad Cover Site up, and it's kind of funny because with these comic issues, the list of information is notably shorter than with the magazine, but I guess that is to be expected. So here we have an ad for Panic, which, if you are not aware, Panic is the authorized knockoff of Mad Magazine. I think Al Feldstein was heading that one. The newspapers of America are screaming, "Stop it!" Send us 8 copies, please. Send up 8 copies, please. Keep the change. Because with just 1 day's display, poof, there goes Panic. So if you're self-conscious in a BO buying out crowd, if Panic goes poof too quickly where you browse, if you'd rather not perspire till the next issue comes in, then subscribe, fill out the coupon, and close $1 for 8 issues and mail. Just give the envelope a gentle squeeze and poof, say goodbye to order problems. The only thing you'll have left to worry about then is an offensive mailman. Okay. In modern times, if I have a subscription and the company goes belly up, I could contact somebody to get money back. Panic went belly up. What do you do if you sent in the money for 8 issues? You send in $1 for 8 issues, but then you don't get all 8 issues. What do you do? Anyway, maybe they stopped taking subscriptions 8 issues ahead. Anyway, here's a Will Elder illustration. And this thing is like, I don't know, this is pretty cool to look at. Like, I got to use, it's actually, I can see it a lot better on my screen than this. I mean, look at, there's this guy biting a leg. How do you even draw something like this? That's my question. Like, I guess I'm thinking about, like, I struggle drawing a person right side up. And here he has, like, they're sideways, they're upside down. How, like, I don't know. He's a master of his craft. So that probably helps a little bit. Look at here, we have a Sultan. Mom's devoid. Oh my goodness. There's just so much to behold. Look at this lady. There's so much to take in with this. This is so, I don't know, I love it. And what's nice is because it's like heavier duty paper, like it holds up a lot better. You know, I'm not buying super nice copies of the comics. I just need to get them. That's kind of how I feel about it. So, you know, this thing is in kind of rough shape. Look at, we got a tear in the cover right there. I'm not getting a lot of reading done of these. I think, like I've flipped through this one on a live stream really quickly. and then I'm flipping through it here, and then that's going to be it. It's going to just, it'll live in its comic sleeve for until I expire, and then like my kids throw them away or something. So, Teenage Comics Department. Oh, you lucky Mad readers. Mad has done it again. Now, Mad Comic Book can boast another first, for Mad is the only comic book that now carries the seal of disapproved reading. But first, a story about Pulaski Street's typical teenager, Starchy. This isn't the first time Starchy showed up, is it? I don't know. I'll tell you, though, it's like, I mean, it's like the exact same style as Archie. Well, the faces are, right? But man, those Archie designs are really freaking cool, right? I mean, Jughead. Can you think of a cooler looking character than Jughead? I mean, like, we're not counting like all of the like the really cool looking characters. Let's look at this. Salonica and Biddy are in there, probably getting bawled out for failing on the exams. Listen to that yelling. Sounds like Mr. Weatherknot's. Weatherby, that's the principal. Weatherknot's in a bad mood. I guess this isn't the first time to see him. Yeah, especially since we copied our exam answers from Salonica and Biddy. Well, let's go in. Girls, this has gone too far. Look at those marks. I'm getting tired. Just look at those marks. I just knocked over my chair into my new desk, and those look like... And look at those marks. Look, it's this lecherous old man chasing Biddy and Salonica. You know, hey. Oh, man. Look at this. Give a book to a serviceman. Whack, crash, boom, boom. Boy, oh, boy. I don't really know what else to like. I don't really know what commentary to give to this. This is going to be probably my worst video, if I'm being honest, because this is also like the first time I'm going through it in earnest. But it's pretty fascinating. Come on, Bottleneck. My cold logic and facts, my logical reasoning showed Mr. Weatherknot he should pass us. Gad, that cold logical reasoning plays Hobbs with my knuckles. That would be great. Oh, man, I want to get a van, like a street van. And I wanted to put Jughead on it. No, I got to put Starchy. Starchy and Bottleneck. Ooh, that'd be awesome. Wait a minute, Bottleneck, I think you're right. I think Biddy does have a crush on me. Also a Hammerlock. I gotta zoom out a little bit. I do have to say, like, it's not the whitest pages, but it is in pretty good shape. I'm not too displeased with this. Oh my goodness. How did like the creators, or I don't even know if the creators would have still been around, but how did the people working at Archie Studios or whatever the hell it's called, how did they react to something like this? Like taking this very wholesome thing that they had created and just turning them into total scuzzy people. Like, yeah, how does that go over? I mean, obviously EC got in trouble with all like the fucked up covers, right? And all of like that stuff. But then how did they do with like, I don't know, parody, satire law? Was that always a thing even back then? Mad got sued at some point by fucking Gilbert and Sullivan or something. You know, like Rodgers and Hammerstein or something, right? Which one did they get sued by? They got sued by somebody for making, I think it was Frank Jacobs wrote something. And they got sued. And they won, right? That was like the big deal. Now here's something really cool. I did not know this, but Bernard Krigstein, who did famously Master Race for EC Comics, he did this. I didn't know he worked for Mad. I didn't know that he had a lot of appearances in that, but he does. He has 4 total. I'm on Mad cover site checking, peeping the content. 12, 17. He was in the first magazine issue, and he was in 26 as well. I mean, this is a guy whose style is so freaking cool. I really wish he would have stayed on. I think it would be interesting to see how he would have, I don't know, developed as an artist or developed comedically. Because certainly, I mean, he has like this pretty, and his style's awesome. There's no arguing that. But then, in addition to that, you have, I mean, it's like funny. They're like unique caricatures. It almost reminds me, in some ways, of Dave Berg's early stuff, right? Dave Berg would have these like kind of like manic expressions on the faces. He would have like these, I don't know, like really hard lines. And you have, so it's like sort of reminiscent of that. And Dave Berg obviously went on to become a staple with his humor. But yeah, how would Bernard Krigstein have fared as like a regular Mad contributor? I love this right here. Look at, we have Potter Zeeby showing up in the airplane, and then this, the mixed medium. He has the people making out on the beach, like the photograph of people making out on the beach. It's just so great. No, I was at the comic book shop. This has to do mostly with Bernard Krigstein, but Daniel Klaus, there was a book of his on the shelf, and I was flipping through it, as I do, and it had I was kind of struck with like some of his lines. And I wonder if he viewed Bernard Krigstein as an influence on him at all. Sometimes I see these connections between artists, and I say it out loud, and then I think that's probably totally wrong, but I don't know. I don't know why they remind me of one another. Or Daniel Klaus reminded me of Krigstein in that book. As you can see, I'm not really saying anything about this because I think From Here to Eternity, I think my father made me watch that at some point. He made me watch it. He made me watch White Christmas. He made me watch From Here to Eternity, The Bridge Over the River Kwai, the only good movies that I ever watched that my dad suggested. Well, there's actually quite a number of really good ones. But From Here to Eternity, I don't remember enjoying all that much. We have another little Potter Zeeby, like, popping out of the tuba, which is, like, it's kind of funny because it's just, like, typed. It's almost like woodblock prints. Like, it's just, like, typed out and just, like, stuck on there. And then also, you know, with that airplane banner. And that's just so strange to me because it doesn't really fit with what's going on here in the panels. But I don't know. Can I just tell you one thing that I'm really fascinated with? And whenever I see it, I fixate on it. And that is drawing explosions or like clouds of things. This would be an example. Like, I really like looking at that to try to figure out how I would draw it or how I could recreate that. The other thing that I like to do, or I notice very quickly, is when drawings have like a motorcycle or an automobile driving, and you know, there's that like, here, I'll do it down here, where it's like very narrow, and then it like sort of like it's getting spit out the dirt from the back tires, and then it like billows up. I love that. And I just wish I could draw it. If I could draw that, it's the only thing I would ever draw, is just cars leaving plumes of dust, clouds of dust in their wake. Here we have the Cloak and Dagger department. Now, this is one of those strange things from the times that this might not be exactly a perfect example of this, but you'll notice in EC Comics and Mad Comics that they'll incorporate things that don't match the content. It'll be almost like educational, and it'll be like a page of text. And apparently, from what I've heard, learning just from this, doing this YouTube channel, reading people's comments, what I've learned is it's basically, it allowed them to ship it at a cheaper rate because it was, like media mail. If, you get a lower rate for shipping things. This was something very similar, where if they print these pages of text only that are like educational or, I don't know, not what they're actually publishing, they can get a lower shipping rate, which is incredibly clever. The Cloak and Dagger Department. And now Chapter 6 in the Fantastic Adventures of the Secret Under Manhole Cover Agent Five Fingers Jones. As you remember in our last chapter, our hero, secret undercover manhole cover agent Five Fingers Jones, under the alias of was spying in Moscow's Kremlin when he was picked up by the BVDs, initials for secret police, also initials for underwear, right? My BVDs, and brought before the secret police chief, Buried, who, with spy queen Flopova Movova, tries to torture information out of Jones with a brainwash after wearing out 3 washing machines. Buried, in a fit of rage, pressed a pistol to Jones's eyeball and then threatened to shoot. And that's the story up to date. However, you know as well as I, dear reader, that Jones will get out of this pickle. For heroes always get out of pickles in chapters, because if they didn't, radio programs wouldn't be able to go on again. You wouldn't buy magazines. You wouldn't buy magazines for the next installment. Everything would be all farschmelt. Farschmelt. It's one of those mad words. And so on to the next installment of Operation Under the Ground. What was your mission? Screamed Barry, placing his pistol against Jones's eyeball. Suddenly, there's a loud bang. When the smoke clears, Jones is seen lying on the floor with a hole as big as a baseball in the middle of his head. What have you done? Screamed Flopova. You have killed the hero of the story. How will we continue the story? Everything is now farschmelt. And everything most certainly is. Well, do people laugh at you for reading comic books? Look at this, Jack Davis. Oh, I was talking about this, like who in a live stream. I got an answer for it, but I forgot it. What is the who has the longest tenure at Mad Magazine? And I think Jack Davis was one that I thought, but I think it ended up being Sergio Aragones. Do you hear people faintly snickering behind your back as you ride the train to school or work? Examine the situation. Have you forgotten your pants? Is a comic book you are reading one of those kind with loud and garish covers? No wonder people laugh. Do you want to look like an idiot reading comic books all your life? If you don't, then listen to this. Mad Comic Book has the new cover design that makes it look like high-class literature. Buy the latest issue of Mad, and then you can look like an idiot reading high-class literature. Buy Mad at your newsstand or subscribe. There it is. That's why they did it. What I was just talking about at the start of this. Like, why would they do this? Why would they make the switch away from their Mad cover? And now we have our answer. Mad mumblings. I'm very curious about this. I wonder when the Mad hate started. You know, when they just talk trash about the magazine that we all love. Let's see. Please tell me. You've got to tell me before I go mad. What does bois mean? Hugh Redman, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oh, I'm sorry. How rude of me. I was casing the mats at the drugstore when I happened to pin this crazy-looking comic book. Well, man, I nearly flipped. I was casing the way you had the cats dressed, man. if you dress the way where I go to school, they would think that you were just a young cat getting hep to the new style, man. I mean, we wear drapes and suedes and we dig bop talk, but a lot of cats are going conservative. Now, to me, if a cat's going to go conservative, he might as well go square. But on the other hand, I don't know where you got your ideas of how a cat dresses. Man, it's okay to be cool, but a cat would only dress like that if he was out for kicks. A cat from Lackawanna. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what that means. Now here we go. This is the one that I'm really excited about, and I was really excited to read. What is it? Who did this one? Mad Mumblings. No. Oh, 3 Dimensions by Wally Wood. He does the art. It doesn't say who wrote it. Probably what's his face. Now, here's the thing. I bought these. I didn't buy these. These are free. You don't buy shit like this. You get it for free. So I got these. I got them for free. As you can see, they're authentic. They're authentic 3-dimensional glasses. And they work on 3-dimensional comics. 3-dimensional comics like radioactive teenage, what is it? Radioactive adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. Those 3D comics, these work on. They're great. But the problem is, look at, I'll show you. So, you know, you see how that disappears? The red stuff disappears? Well, the blue doesn't disappear the other ink. So I got to get different ones because this is just not quite the right shade for it. And so it looks weird and kind of cool, but not the way that you want it to look. At least not the way that they want it to look. I don't know. I'm kind of bummed about that. So if you have 3D glasses that work on this, like a link, send me a link or something, because I will buy it. I know I was just like talking shit about buying stuff, but I would buy that. Anyway, this is really cool because he breaks the fourth wall on this in a pretty fun and cool way that, I don't know, maybe it was done before. Who cares if it was done before or not? It's done really well here, and it's awesome. How am I doing on time? Christ, this is horrible. This is like super long. Hi, Mad Reader. I'm the writer of this mad story, and this is the artist. We're going to try to give you a real, personal, hometown, friend-to-friend description of how 3D comics are made. You see, we want to be your friend. We want you to be our friend. And if you are our friend, we're your friend. And let's everybody be friends. In other words, send money. I kind of have to hurry up. And now, an actual look at 3D in action. Since we supply no 3D glasses, let us suggest you make your own by painting your mother's reading glasses red and blue. Or perhaps you might paint red and blue right over your eyeballs. In any case, I don't know, maybe it's not supposed to look right. You'll be able to follow your story with these 3D captions. Now, say some 3D causes eye strain. Some say 3D makes you see green spots in front of your eyes. We of Mad assure you that they are wrong. And it's like you get these silly little green spots in there. When these parties tell you that 3D makes your eyes burn and see reddish, don't believe them. Doctors have proven 2 to 1 that 3D causes no eye strain, no redness, or fatigue. Okay, so this is where it gets really cool. And maybe it doesn't really match up the whole time for a reason. But, like, and it really, this kind of sucks because it really only works. So you see the guy walking down the street. So if you look at it through one eye, you see him walking. You see on this one, well, it would be the same thing. But as you can see, if you close one eye, he falls in the manhole. And if you close the other eye, he continues walking. And then, you know, he's reacting to himself. So, like, these ones aren't supposed to be 3D. I think these ones are supposed to have the 3D effect. Anyway, look at these 3D drawings. Look at the clarity of the picture below. The fine details of the faces. Proof positive that 3D causes no eye strain. And then this is where it starts getting kind of wild is, look at this, like very high. Look, I'm not even showing you the right thing. Really highly like distressed and altered image. Now let's get back to normal pictures. And if any of those scheming no good bums tell you 3D distorts your vision, you just tell them how sharp you can really see with your exercised eyeballs. It's like, how was this even made? This looks so cool. It looks like some type of like digital malfunction. I absolutely love that. And so it just it goes on, and look at it goes into from color to black and white, and that's not the end of it. Everything just falling apart. You see, this is how an ugly, colorless 3D picture looks if you had on your 3D glasses. Notice how this picture has the illusion of depth. And then finally, you might say this is merely an illusion and not the real thing. We at MAD say this 3D medium brings us powers undreamed of. Watch as we tear a hole in your comic book before your very eyes. We still have more to pit. Watch. Look at that. How fucking cool is that? All right, so then you go over here. And so it, you know, of course, because he tore it through on that one. So, I mean, the only thing that would make this better would be as if that was in the background. But, you know, whatever. You know, they were here. I love this. It's like, it's so cool. So then, it, like, we were so praying, he goes, see, the whole show's on this side, too. And then, I don't know why that woman is there. Stop. This is a 3-dimensional story. You're liable to break something. Whoop. Help, I'm falling. I told you to be careful. You can't do this. You're knocking everything off the page. This is a 6-page story. We still have 1 more page to go. I just love how this looks. Oh, my goodness. And then the best part. The blank page. I don't know. I'm sure like that type of thing has been done. I mean, it's most certainly has been done since. Probably it has been done before, but has it been done that well? And here we have Mark Trade with Jack Davis doing the art. A Jack Davis art style that I am not familiar with. It's way different. That this brush strokes are much larger. It's way cartoonier. I don't know if that is the right description to use, that idea of it being cartoony. But I don't know that I would recognize this as Jack Davis's art. The Sweetheart from the South, that's what they call him. And I am kind of rushing through this, and I do feel a little bit bad. But that's okay, because I've talked ad nauseum about this issue. Here, oh shit, I have a little tear in it. Son of a beehiver. And then we have ads. Here's the one I really care about, is this one actually. Boys, girls, men, women, the world is on fire. Serve the Lord, and you can have these prizes. You can make money too. I never read. I would get like old comics all the time from like my grandma's antique shop. I would never read this stuff up here. I would just be fixated on all of this stuff down here, which I guess is probably the point, right? They don't really want you to really worry about all that. They want you to get like hooked in on that so that you can buy this stuff. Holy smokes, look at this. I can't believe this. This is so, I mean, I can believe it because of the time. A radium dial pocket watch. Radium dial pocket watch, famously, those poor women who were painting the dials on Radium would be licking their brushes and putting it on, and it's grotesque, it's horrible. But yeah, look at that. And then a chemistry set also probably has Radium. A Dick Tracy camera, 2-gun holster set. I mean, come on, Joe DiMaggio baseball set. Stuff's cool. Red Ryder. This stuff is pretty legit. Anyway, you guys. Hey, this is my first flip through of a Mad comic. Feedback welcome. This is like a departure from what I'm used to. So, like, truly, if I can improve on some things, if you want me to look more at certain stuff, let me know in the comments. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Toodaloo.